Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to share something really special with you. I wrote a book called Level Up Your Leadership. It's 11 powerful chapters filled with my best advice, lessons, and strategies to help you take your success, leadership, and life to the next level. It's available on Amazon, and you could also find it in today's show notes. If this podcast has blessed you, it would mean the world to me if you grabbed a copy, shared it with your team or your network, and help us spread the message of leveling up and becoming who you are created to be. Now, let's get started with today's episode. Hello, friends. Welcome to Level Up with Debbie Neal. I am your host. There is nowhere I would rather be than right here, right now with you. This podcast is all about leveling up in all aspects of our lives. Thank you for being here. I am so grateful. I'm excited to be on this journey with you. Together, we are leveling up. You ready? Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I am so grateful that you are here. You know, when I sat down to prepare an episode for this particular week, this one was kind of emotional for me because on May 30th, I will be celebrating 20 years in this profession. And when I think about 20 years, like just saying that out loud hits me. Like I think about, wow, 20 years of growth. I can remember just thinking like 20 years ago, just being like, I was 36. I just felt like this child with this vision and this hope of something more. And I think about 20 years of growth. There's 20 years of setbacks. There was 20 years of breakthroughs. There was 20 years of believing when there was no evidence. There was 20 years of building belief. Belief is not something you just wake up one day and have. It's a consistent muscle that you're building. 20 years of building vision and wisdom. 20 years of leading when quite honestly, I didn't always feel like it or feel qualified or felt emotionally prepared, right? Sometimes we're just not having a great day. 20 years of staying in the game long enough to become the leader and the woman that I prayed that I could be. And I've been thinking that if I could sit down with the version of me who started 20 years ago, you know, when I was first introduced to this business, right before, probably I would say about a good 24 hours before I joined, I was really scared. There was that version of me that doubted herself, that version of me that thought, gosh, who would do this? Who would join me? Who would follow me? The version that didn't know if I had what it took. You know, sometimes you think, well, I've never sold a thing in my life. I don't know anything about network marketing. I think like, what would I tell her? What are some of the lessons that changed everything for me? What are the truths that built not only just a business, but a life that I'm grateful for, a life that I'm proud of, and a life that I feel so blessed to live every day? And so today I just want to share some of those with you. And so these are kind of some of my top tips after 20 years. I think I wrote 11 of them. I don't remember, honestly, but if you're writing it down, start with one. And I'm really grateful for all of them. I probably could have written down 50. They're just the ones that just hit me the other day as I was making notes for this episode. And so whether you're in network marketing, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in sales, whether you're in leadership, or simply building a dream, like I want you to know that there's value here that you can apply to what you're building. So number one, start at the ground level and release where you've been. Okay. And so for me, some of the release was, Debbie, you've never sold a thing in your life. Debbie, you don't know anything about network marketing. Debbie, who would follow you? Debbie, you've been out of corporate America for 5 years. Those stories. So it's just starting with a clear slate. So I want to start here because this is where almost everybody gets stuck. And they want a different future, but they're still emotionally attached to their past. So I couldn't live in those stories and make a change. They're still carrying old disappointments, maybe old failures, maybe old identities, maybe old labels, old stories, old opinions. And here's what I know after 20 years, you cannot create a new life while dragging around an old identity. And so that's what makes, especially I know from building this profession, people say, you don't have to change. You don't have to change. Stay who you are. Well, you want to become a better version of yourself. You want to think bigger. You want to show up better. You want to be more positive. You want to believe in miracles. You want to believe in, what's possible versus what's probable. You want to identify as somebody who sets goals and achieve them. You can't build the next version of yourself while constantly rehearsing who you used to be. So maybe somebody told you that you weren't enough. Maybe somebody told you this is a silly idea. Maybe you tried something before and it didn't work. Maybe you set a goal and you missed it. Maybe you quit. Maybe you failed. Maybe people laughed at you. Maybe you lost money in a business. Maybe you lost confidence. Okay. That was then. And sometimes we have to kind of go back to good things fall apart so better things could come together, meaning the better version of you coming together. But if you want to level up, you've got to release where you've been. You've got to release the limiting beliefs and limiting stories. So you want to release where you've been personally, where you've been professionally, where you've been emotionally, where you've been mentally. You do not need to start ahead. You do not need to start perfect, but you don't need to start with all the answers. You just need to start today at ground level. And I know for me, like I remember those 24 hours thinking about it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like the end of May. The kids are off from school. What if I wait till September? What if I wait a year from now? What if I wait for better timing? There's no such thing as better timing. There's no better timing. The opportunity was not waiting for Debbie Neal. It's not waiting for you either. And so leaders create the right time because ground level is enough. Like starting at the bottom of wherever you're starting is enough. Ground level built every single thing that I have. I didn't start with a team. I didn't start with experience. I didn't start with influence. I didn't start with a big following. I started with a desire for more, hope in my heart, and courage to go after it, and a work ethic that honestly, I was like, game on. I have a work ethic, and ground level can build every single thing you want. And that same advice stands if you're starting with success. So like I once had a great corporate job. I was out of corporate America for 5 years. I was a stay-at-home mom. My kids were 6, 4. My twins were 1.5. I was also watching 7 kids under the age of 5. So I was basically a professional butt wiper for 5 years. But maybe you're starting as an entrepreneur and you're a lawyer or a doctor. You own multiple businesses. Well, maybe you already have a great income, many degrees. I would still give you the same advice. Start at ground level, be humble, be coachable, because we all start at the same place. And sometimes I have all these degrees. I should be more successful. I have all this success already. I should be more successful. Humility is the best thing to have. We all start at the same place at the beginning with a vision for more. To truly succeed, it requires us leaving our insecurities and our ego behind and being willing to grow to the next version of who we are meant to be. Number 2, be coachable. This one changed my life. And I can tell you right now, some of the greatest breakthroughs in my life came when I did things that I absolutely did not feel ready to do. Okay. So some of you coached me recently because people ask me many times, when's your book coming out? When's your book? When's your book coming out? When's your book coming out? And I was like, oh, I'm not writing a book. Well, I went through that process. I wrote a book. It's called Level Up Your Leadership. You could buy it on Amazon. I'm getting so much love from so many of you guys. Like, I'm so grateful that I was coachable. I could think back and I remember investing in myself when I couldn't afford to do it. I remember saying yes to my business when my stomach was in knots and I wanted to vomit. And so many times people have that feeling like, oh, maybe that's God telling me it's not the right time. No. Like excitement, anxiety, it kind of all has it. Like, this is new, this is new, this is new. And your subconscious and your ego wants to say, danger, 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 stranger danger. Like, this is a strange thing. We don't normally do this. But I remember saying yes when my stomach was in knots, and I'm so grateful that I did. I jumped in when others told me not to. I was told, like, don't do this. The person who shared this business with you, like, don't do this. People think she's crazy. I was like, all right. I don't know if any of you guys have tried to pay your bills with other people's opinions, but I was like, at the time, this is a 27-year-old company. The business model is brilliant, brilliant. And I can make a little money, but there's an opportunity to make a lot of money here. And I'm jumping in regardless of the opinions of other people. I remember being told, like when I started my business, let's set a launch date. We're launching your business within a week. And if I really want to be honest, I resisted. I was like, no, I need 2 weeks. No, I need a month. I had every excuse. I had every fear. And thank God I had mentors who didn't let me stay comfortable. They were like, no, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. And I launched my business in 7 days, and they were right. It was, I coach people the same way. Most people take my advice. Some people don't. And I watch the way their business is. Like, can you imagine having a brick and mortar business? So I have an e-commerce, global business that's in 5 countries, the 5 countries that we're in. But imagine you had a brick and mortar business, and would you like not open it up? Would you not have a grand opening? Like if you had a retail store or a coffee shop, would you not open the front door? Well, that's what it looks like when you wait to launch your business. Like, what are you waiting for? You're not getting customers. People are not going to be interested unless you open your doors. Okay. Because this is what you need to know. Comfort doesn't create champions. Coachable people compress time. They have a sense of urgency. And so, actually, that was really good. Coachable people compress time. Every now and then I say things, I'm like, I don't know where that came from. That was good. Pride, when we have pride, you know what that does? It delays our destiny, and ego delays our growth. So again, that's going back to the original thing, like start at the ground level and leave the ego at the door. Defensiveness delays breakthrough. Like, well, this is the way I want to do it. I want to do it this way. This is my business. You know what? It is your business. But one of the things I love about having a network marketing business is like, I have a business with a company, products, scientists, a warehouse, a shipping system, all of this stuff. I don't have to think about it. I also have leaders and mentors that have went before me. So why would I be reinventing the wheel? If it's not broken, don't fix it. And so many times people are like, oh, let me pick and choose. Let me pick and choose what I talk about, right? And we also know that excuses scream amateur. If every piece of feedback feels personal, if every correction feels offensive, if every stretch assignment feels like inconvenient, you're going to stay exactly where you are. So the question isn't, do I feel ready? The question is, am I willing to be led, to be coached? Because the people who go the furthest are usually the most coachable. Number 3, practice. Practice, practice, practice. People want confidence. I started a business 20 years ago. I knew nothing about the opportunity. I didn't know how to give a product presentation or a business presentation. I practiced over and over again. It's not okay to, I hear people all the time be like, oh, I wanted to do this meeting and my upline or my mentor wasn't available. What? You're independent. You're a consultant. You do it yourself. Practice. Like, it's great to have somebody available. But when I started my business, I was in so much activity with so much new business. I wasn't waiting for somebody to be available. I wasn't like literally putting my calendar and my future in the availability of somebody else. And what if that somebody else is not as committed as you? Okay. People want to follow confidence, but they don't want repetition. So you want to be repetitive. You want to practice. People want to look natural, but they don't want to practice. And I really want to tell you something. Confidence is not gifted. Confidence is practiced. It's something you do every day. You practice your story. You practice your invitation. You practice your presentation. You practice your conversations. You practice your leadership. Some people are like, what do you do in this situation? What do you do in that situation? Practice. And you're going to know the right thing to say. You're going to know the wrong thing to say. You practice until what once felt awkward feels natural. I used to tell myself, like Deb, be right? There's this phrase, and we talk about it a lot on this podcast, probably many podcasts, be, do, have. So be the leader that you want to become. Be her or him scared. Be her or him nervous. Be her or him unqualified. Be her or him before you have success. Then do the work. Do the work. Practice. Fill the calendar. Do all the things. Ask boldly, and then have. Then you'll have. Then you'll create the results, right? Be the woman first. Be the man first. Do what she would do, and eventually you will have what she has. So I'm using the word she because I'm talking to myself. This is advice I give myself, okay? So that formula changed everything for me. Stop waiting to feel confident. Practice until confidence becomes who you are. So part of this episode was like, if I could go back and give myself advice, but you guys, I'm so grateful I took that advice. I did have success quickly. And, in my company, we always refer people to our earnings statement because we'll never make income claims. And I can never say what I did is typical. What I did is not typical, but it's possible. And so I showed up every day and practiced like it was possible, like it was inevitable. And when you believe enough, it becomes inevitable. Okay. 2026 is the year you launch your business, the year you transform into an entrepreneur, founder, boss. One powerful move puts the future firmly in your hands. Starting a business with Shopify. Maybe you've got an idea you can't shake, a craft everyone tells you to sell, a store you've already designed in your head. With Shopify, 2026 is when you finally make it happen. Shopify gives you everything you need to sell online and in person. Millions of entrepreneurs have already made this leap, from household names to first-time business owners just getting started. Shopify gives you all the tools to easily build your dream store. Choose from hundreds of beautiful templates that you can customize to match your brand. Marketing is built in too. Create email and social campaigns that reach customers wherever they scroll. As you grow, Shopify grows with you. Handle more orders, expand to new markets, and do it all from the same dashboard. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/levelup. Go to shopify.com/levelup. That's shopify.com/levelup. Hear your first this new year with Shopify by your side. So number 4, set powerful goals. Nobody wanders to the top of a company. Nobody accidentally becomes great. Nobody accidentally builds a legacy. So when you think about success, it's intentional. Growth is intentional. Leadership is intentional. And goals? Goals are not about numbers. Goals are about identity. Goals stretch you. Like when you think of a goal and a number and it scares you, you don't identify yet as the leader who can do it. And so that's why it's so important to always have a goal and stretch, because goals stretch you. Goals expose your thinking. So if you put a number out there and all of a sudden you're like, ugh, that lets you know the level of bigness, of vision, of future growth that you're thinking of today. Goals expose your habits. Goals expose your lids. And here's what I've learned. Most people are not held back by the lack of ability. They're held back by really low expectations. They set a low goal and that's what they shoot for. They're held back by invisible ceilings of maybe I can't do more. That's too much. I'm not a big enough leader. They're held back by subconscious lids. And I've watched this play out with an upcoming leader on my team. She's actually incredible upcoming leader. I don't think she cares if I mention her name. Her name is Courtney. I've actually used her as an example. So she's been in my business down several levels for years, doing consistently 2,500 in sales. Okay. So she was maintaining her management level, had a really nice customer base. She didn't even realize that she wasn't stretching. She didn't even realize that that became her goal and her lid. And she stopped like when she hit it. So in other words, if she hit 2,500 with a week left, she's like, oh, hit my goal. Like, hello, we can go way past that. And subconsciously, she wasn't seeing beyond that number. She would set goals from time to time, but wouldn't really go after them. And so recently she reached out to me with a goal. It was like the 20th of the month. And she reached out a goal that was 4 times that amount. 4 times that amount. Now, that's why we also say, like, don't always compare what you've done. You have to remove the stories, the limit. But I felt a shift in her. And so she had a goal, she declared it. And when that goal was alive, so what happened is she didn't actually hit. So she set a goal for 10,000 in sales that month. She missed it, but she did like 75, 8,000. I'm forgetting what it was. Like a huge month. And she was disappointed. Meanwhile, she'd been doing 2,500 for so long, but she raised her bar, she raised her expectation, and then and her subconscious now was aligned with the new goal. And what she wasn't even realizing at one point, that her goal in the past lost its emotional charge, right? And now because she set this new one and she was aligned with it, what happened? Massive momentum, massive growth, building a team, and then she almost hit that big goal. But then what happened, and I always say this too, sometimes people like set this goal for the month. And so she normally did 2,500. I'll give you the example. She did a big stretch goal for 10,000 and she missed that goal, but she did like 75, 8,000. Okay. So she missed the 10, but how great. Sometimes we forget to celebrate how far we've come, right? But the next month she set the goal again. And because she built this momentum and she was kind of treating it like the days were rolling, she went way past the 10 and ended up doing about, I want to say it was about 17,000 in sales. Okay. So what happened? She removed the lid. She removed the lid. And friends, we're almost always the lid in our business. So when there's no goal, usually means no growth. So let's set one and let's always apply the as soon as possible, and always have another one waiting. Raise your bar. Number 5, believe you can. You have to win in your mind first, before the money, before the earnings, before the success, before the team, before the recognition, before the title, before the results. You have to see it before anyone else is going to see it. You have to believe it before there's evidence. You have to walk like it before the world validates it. If you can conceive it, you can achieve it. But belief is not passive. Belief is trained. Belief is built. Belief is protected. Belief is spoken. Belief is repeated. I remember when I started my business, I repeated over and over again, my name is Debbie Neal, and I repeated the level of the top level of my company. I am, over and over and over and over. And the first 100 times I felt like a fraud. But then afterwards, those words became beliefs, and those beliefs dictated my actions. Belief is repeated. Belief is practiced, because your life always moves in the direction of your strongest belief. And a lot of times those beliefs are hidden up there. So belief is so important always. Okay. Number 6, create a vision. But don't just create a vision, give it life, because vision changed everything for me. People don't follow numbers. People don't follow compensation plans. People don't follow products as good as mine are. People follow vision. People join vision. People stay for vision. People fight for vision. So if you're building anything, cast your vision, speak your vision, give it life, repeat it over and over and over again. Paint the picture, paint it big, paint it bold, paint it so big that other people see themselves in your vision. Make your vision breathe, make it real, and fall in love with your vision. Because if you're not excited about your future, why would anybody else be? If you're not excited about where you're going, where you're leading your team, and what you're creating, why would anyone join that? Vision creates movement. Vision creates momentum. Vision creates loyalty, and vision creates legacy. Number 7, build your belief until you're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. So I guess this kind of, the last one was vision. Okay. So I have watched in my 20 years, too many incredible people give up. Not because they weren't talented, not because they weren't capable, not because they weren't called, because they stopped believing. Maybe they stop believing in themselves. Maybe they stop believing in the opportunity. Maybe they stop believing in other people. They stop believing that other people could become more. And they lost their passion to train and coach other people. Because they stopped believing, they got taken out by opinions, by missed goals, by attrition, by comparison, by criticism, by temporary setbacks, by people leaving, by life happening. And listen to me. If you build long enough, all of that will happen. You can't escape it. Every single one of those things will happen. And if your belief is weak, you will take yourself out of the game. But if your belief is strong, nothing will take you out of the game of creating your life and your best self. And here's what's even more powerful. The belief you breathe into others, that's what builds organization. That's what builds leaders. That's what builds legacy and nations. Number 8, build lots of with. So what I mean by that is lead by example. Always be enrolling new people in your business. Always be selling product. After 20 years, I can tell you 2 things that really prevent people or stop people from reaching their ultimate goals. Lack of activity. You own a business, you got to be in activity. I sell product and I share the business with people to teach them how to sell product. That's activity, okay? And lack of width. So that's building leaders. It comes from not enough conversations, not enough exposures, not enough invitations, not enough new relationships, not enough seeds. You cannot harvest from fields that you're not planting. Big organizations are built wide before they grow deep. Never stop meeting people. Never stop planting seeds. Never stop building. You know, I hear people say to them, I need to rebuild. Why? Why did we take a break? You know, people who are in corporate, they have a regular job, they're like, yeah, I really got to go back to work. Who says that? Like, they go to work whether they feel like it or not, or there's this thing called getting fired. But then all of a sudden we become an entrepreneur. Like, I need to rebuild. What were you doing for the last month? What were you doing for the last year? What? Why would we think that we become an entrepreneur and we would ever consider benching our best player? And I'm not saying I'm better than my team. What I'm saying is, this is my future. This is my legacy I'm building. Why would I bench myself? Why would I take myself out of the game? Why would I not want to be relevant? Why? I can never prevent if somebody leaves or quits, but I can prevent the actions that I take and the new business that I bring into my business. Okay. Number 9, be obsessed with results. Be obsessed for qualifying for the next level. Be obsessed with earning bonuses. Be obsessed with creating momentum. Why? Because results create belief. When you are earning money, you believe. You stay longer. When your people earn, they stay longer. Excellence creates results. Leadership is teaching others to do the same. So promoting leaders, celebrating leaders, developing leaders, and then do it again. That's duplication. Duplication is not a little thing. Duplication's everything. That's how you scale. That's how you build a legacy. Number 10, build your energy daily. Energy is something that's contagious. Negative energy is contagious. Amazing energy is contagious, okay? People don't just hear you. They feel you. Your kids feel you. Your significant other feels you. Your team feels you. The people that you talk to about your business feels you. The marketplace feels you. Energy is leadership. So what are you feeding your mind? What are you listening to? Who has access to your spirit? What conversations are draining your vision? Protect your energy. Guard it. Feed it. Train it. Because your energy introduces you before your words ever do. Number 11, be all in, stay in, and don't quit. And this might be the biggest lesson of all. Be all in. Stay in. Don't lower your bar. Don't shrink your dream. Don't make permanent decisions during temporary circumstances. Don't let hard seasons redefine who you are. Don't let somebody else's opinion of you write your story. Protect your vision. Play the long game. Because after 20 years, I can tell you this with complete certainty. Success doesn't belong to the most talented. Success belongs to the people who stay, to the people who adapt, to the people who grow, to the people who believe, and to the people who refuse to quit on themselves. One of the reasons I'm here 20 years later and I could celebrate it, I knew I would be. I knew that I would be. 20 years later, if I could tell the younger version of me one thing, it would remind myself of this. Hard seasons are not there to break you. They're there to build you. And maybe, which I think I just said, but here's my top tip. 20 years ago on May 30th, I had never built a network marketing business. I never sold a thing in my life. I had no idea how I was going to succeed, but I knew that I would. I knew I'd build to the top. I knew I'd be here 20 years later. I didn't give it 3 months. I didn't give it a try. I didn't give it a year. I never said, let's see how it goes. I was all in. There was no back door. I didn't avoid growth, obstacles, setbacks, or rest on my success. I was here for the legacy. I was here for the long term. I've built a business that could be willed when I'm no longer on this earth. That's worth everything. Today is your day to raise your bar, to remove your lid, to believe bigger, to become bolder, to go all in, and to level up all the way up. I love you, friends. Thank you for being a part of my journey. I love you all. Before we go, if today's episode spoke to you, I would love to invite you to pick up my book, Level Up Your Leadership. It's for sale on Amazon or through the link in my show notes. There are 11 chapters. I'm sharing the mindset shifts, leadership lessons, and success strategies that have helped so many people level up their life and business. And if you order it, would you do me 2 huge favors? First, share it with your network, your team, or someone you love. And second, if you love it, please leave a written review and 5 stars on Amazon. These reviews make the book more visible, and together we can bless even more people. And I would truly love to hear your biggest aha moments, your favorite parts, and what impacted you the most. Come connect with me on Instagram at Debbie_Neal. Love you, friends.